Okay. Well, I'm Jonathan Cunningham. I'm the owner and engineer at Devil's Rope Studios in Amarillo, Texas. I've worked with Nathan Curtis on a couple of projects now. One of those, probably the biggest one that took the most time, was doing a EP for a metal jazz fusion progressive metal band, and it was pretty intensive. So in the breakdown, I got to see Nathan's beauty and how he works professionally and as an artist, and we had a really good time. The thing about that progressive metal genre is it's very intensive. It's as far as notes and as far as time signatures, there'd probably be like 5 different time signatures in each song. And so when you're breaking it down with drums that are going crazy and guitars that are sweeping and shredding and hitting all these dissonant notes and craziness, especially be a bassist, when you have to lock in with the drums, you've got to really have a solid head on your shoulders and be able to work through the muck and plow through it to make some sense of it all. So it was a great pleasure working with him, and when we really got in deep into it, working with every little note, getting every little note right, making sure that it was correct, just perfect on pitch, and hitting every single little note, every single little hit, every single little tap, on every scale, on every measure, it got pretty crazy at times, and he definitely has a very calm, cool, and collected demeanor about him, and keeps it very professional, and that's something I can definitely appreciate as a producer and engineer. It's so much easier to work with someone who can when it really counts and you're under the pressure in the studio. That's the most pressure you can be in under, because you're really bearing everything that you got personally, and you're pushing for the very best. And Nathan just cruises right through it like a little missile. And we spent a lot of hours here, sitting here working on those tracks. And working with him was just nothing but a pleasure.
My name is Garrett Eggleston, and I have known Nathan for about 4 years now. When I first met Nathan, I was new to WT, and I didn't know a lot of guys, and he was one of those dudes that just kind of stuck out to me, because he was really passionate about what he did, and he was, to give the example of, he's an incredible bass player, and that's something that I always was trying to keep up with him and always trying to catch up, because we kind of became these stupid, ridiculous, like, rivals but not rivals kind of thing. So, I mean, there was never that, like, anger in it, but it was always like, well, let's see if I can just one-up them. Let's see if I can just one-up them. And, it was always a lot of fun, and always just kept us coming back to, our mutual groups of friends that played music together, etc. And he was always a really nice, really honest dude, and, that's the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Nathan Curtis. All right. After all that being said, for a short amount of time, Nathan and I played in a band together, and we were recording over in Amarillo, Texas at the studio, and it got to be this long-running joke where it's like, is Nathan going to be 10 minutes early, or is it going to be 20 minutes early this time? So it came to the point that we started telling him wrong times just to see if he would show up, and it would be 3 times a day where it's like, okay, we're going to meet at 6, and then he waits for 30 minutes, which was kind of mean on our part, but, it was just a fun game that we kind of played with him, and without fail, every single time, it was like, he's there, and he's there, and he's there, and while everybody else was showing up completely late, and that was completely proven to be acceptable, it never was to Nathan, and I feel like that's something that really stood out to me and kind of showed his character in a lot of different ways.
Nathan's been in a media management project with me. We've been designing a business plan, and he's been doing everything and anything to get the business plan done. So it's been really easy this semester working on it with him. It's been a pleasure working with him. Known him like whenever I first met him. Actually, it was at Devil's Rope Studios. Met him as musicians, which is pretty cool. Musician myself, but he's a fantastic bass player and really cool band that he plays with. But as far as a professional, he carries that, like, all his dedication that he does for music, he carries all of that to what he does in his daily life. You know, he applies himself to everything. I've been able to see that. Pretty cool guy.